when it comes to understanding home interest rates and predictions for 2024, that's something that can be quite complicated. So what's the big deal with interest rates anyways? Think of interest rates like the cost of borrowing money. When they go up, borrowing gets pricier, and when they go down, it gets cheaper. And you might ask, why do interest rates change? Well, big financial decision makers like central banks look at how well the economy is doing. If it's booming, they might rise interest rates to slow things down a little bit. If it is slow, then they might, lower the interest rates to kickstart the market to back to where it was prior. And who decides these rates? Well, again, the central banks, which are like the big banks for other banks that you kind of bank with. These are the ones that make these decisions. And they have meetings and decide if rates are going to go up, down, or stay the same. And that's kind of what happens when you see the changes in the interest rate. It's come from the central bank's decision makers. And so you want to ask, well, is the world involved in these decisions? Yes, they are. That is true. Stuff happening around the world, like trade fights or big global events, can also affect these decisions as well. It's all connected. It's just the whole world is connected in these interest rates and making decisions. And so you might ask, does what we buy affect the interest rates? I would just say kind of. If everyone is buying a lot, banks might raise the interest rates because there's so much demand on a certain product. But if no one's buying much, then rates might go down to encourage, more spending. So that's kind of how it goes. It goes back to the economical term supply and demand. So, and also you might ask, well, what's this about the inflation? Well, inflation is when things get more expensive over time. If we expect prices to rise a lot, central banks might raise the rates to keep things at a balance. So you're thinking well, what's going to happen in 2024? What is it looking like next year? Hard to determine. It's really hard to say. A lot can happen, but if you keep an eye on the news and what the big banks are saying, you'll kind of get a sense of where things might be headed in the future. So in a nutshell, interest rates are likely are the barometer for the economy, and they can go up, down based on things that are going on both locally and globally. Keeping tabs on them kind of help us understand the financial landscape and make smarter money moves. So stay tuned.